I wanted to make a difference. And what better way to make a difference than to teach public high school at one of my community's toughest high schools. I was there for the interview in my principal's office, and she said, "Antwan, what was your major in college?" And being a recent college graduate, I proudly said, "Political science." And as she looked over my resume, I started to daydream about what I might teach. Maybe it would be English because of my mastery of the English language. Or maybe it would be political science. Or maybe it would be history, because I would teach the students so many things that weren't in their history books. But I thought what would be perfect if it was government, because I'd really be able to use my political science degree. Well, after a few moments, she looks up from my resume and says, "Antwan, you're going to be perfect teaching algebra." Algebra? She said, "Yes, you're going to be teaching algebra for 9th grade students. 9th grade students who are in the 9th grade for the 2nd or 3rd or 4th time." But I needed a job, so I said, okay, why not? So after signing a few forms, I was off, and there was so much to do. I needed to meet the math department chair. I needed to decorate my classroom, find books for my students. I needed to set up some passwords, and I needed to find keys to the building. And most importantly, I needed to learn algebra. Because I hadn't taken algebra since the 8th grade. Because I majored in political science, which means my math in college was math for liberal arts, which means I hadn't taken algebra since the 8th grade. But I didn't care. School was starting in a few days. I was so excited. I even said a little prayer because it was all happening so fast. And after leaving her office, I was off to start checking off these things on my brand new to-do list. And I remember I started doing things. I met the math department chair, and I walked by the main office, and I thought I heard my name. But I thought to myself, I don't know anybody at this school. There's nobody talking to me, and I went about my day. I started to check a few more things off of my to-do list, and I walked back by the main office, and I heard, "Antwan." So I remember stopping and thinking, yes, Jesus? Is that you calling me into education? Well, I accept the challenge, Lord. And I went about my day. Y'all gonna mess me up, don't laugh too much. So I went about my day and I started checking more things off of my list, and I walked back by the main office and I heard, "Antwan." Now this time I was sure I heard my name, but I thought, I don't know anybody at this school. Obviously there's another Antwan who works here, and I thought nothing of it. I went about my day, and it was the last time I walked back by the main office and I heard, "Antwan." Now, even though I know nobody could be talking to me because I don't know anybody at this school, I stopped and I looked. And you know what? This guy's actually talking to me. But I have no idea who it is. I mean, it's a black guy. He's older. He's wearing a blue uniform. He's holding a mop, so he works as a custodial technician at the school. And to add to this mystery, he's wearing a black pirate's eye patch. But I don't know who this is. I start to walk toward him, and I notice he's kind of skinny, and I guess the one eye he has left is kind of big, but I don't have any idea who this is. I mean, I thought maybe he's on my mom's bowling team, or maybe he goes to my grandmother's church, because I really don't know any one-eyed janitors. But as I got close to him and I went in for the embrace, I realized exactly who it was. It was my dad. Yes, a man who I had never had a conversation with is the one-eyed janitor at my new job. And the first thing he said to me was, "Hey man, I was just about to call you." Now what I thought to myself was, how? But what I said was, why? And he said, "Well, I was going to invite you to my family's family reunion." I thought to myself, sir, we're kind of having a family reunion right here. And in the next few moments, to every person that walked by, like Mufasa talking about Simba, he said, "This is my son." So I ran to my car. I called my mom. I said, "Mother, you will never believe who works here at the school." And she said, "Is it someone I know?" And I said, "About 25 years ago, you knew him really well." She said, "Your daddy?" I said, yes, ma'am. She was like, you tell that no good bastard. And after about 5 minutes of profanity, I ended the call and I went back into the school. And by the time I got back into the school, everybody in the building knew that I was Russell's son. Every teacher, every cafeteria lady, and every custodial technician knew that I was Russell's son. In my classroom, people came by and was like, hey, you're Russell's son. And I went to the teacher's lounge to get something to eat, and it was like, hey, you're Russell's son. And in the bathroom, at the urinal, the man beside me looks and says, hey, ain't you Russell's son? When the principal saw me, she said, Antwan, why didn't you tell me you were Russell's son? And I was like, I don't know this man. I mean, I had a few close encounters over the years because once my mom took my grandmother to church and she pointed him out in front of her corner store. And then once when I was 11, he came to our house, and even though I was upstairs, he told my mom, I bought Antwan hundreds of dollars of school clothes, which I never got. And he barely missed me at my high school graduation because he got there a little early by 365 days because he came the wrong year. And now I was going to have to see this man every day, but it was okay. Because remember, I'm teaching at a tough high school, and a lot of my students also come from single-parent homes, so this is perfect. So I told my students that my mom single-handedly put me and my sister through college. Clap for my mama. And I said she did it, and she worked hard, and this is my story of perseverance and fortitude. And my dad had nothing to do with me. He was a deadbeat, and I only met him days ago. This is how I ended the speech. I met him days ago, here, at this very school, where he works as a custodial technician. Knowing I had motivated them, I opened the floor for questions. First student, so, is it the fat one? Sweetheart, the story was not about him. It was about my story of perseverance. We don't say fat, and no, he's not fat. Serious questions only. Next student, so is it the ugly one? Okay. Young people, this story was not about him. It was about my story of fortitude. But it was the last student who really just brought it all home and said, oh, snap. Oh, snap. I know which one it is. It's the skinny one. You know, the motherfucker with one eye. Yeah, it's funny today. It wasn't funny then. So as I learned to laugh at fate that school year by bringing me to the school where my father worked, my students learned to laugh at me. They really made fun of me every single day. And even though I didn't get a chance to really bond with my father that year, I've only seen him once since, I did meet some amazing students, many of whom I still communicate with today. And they tell me that I was an amazing teacher. They tell me I was their favorite teacher. They tell me that I was okay in math. But most importantly, they told me that I made a difference.